Hello, my name is Alexandra Janelli with Theta Spring Hypnosis out of New York City. Today what I'd like to talk about is a lot of people when they come into my office ask me about hypnosis and your cliche and classic pendulum, or the clock that swings in front of you. And is this in fact a technique that is used in hypnosis and in hypnotherapy? The short answer to that is yes, it can be. But I'd like to explain why it works and what it's used for. When doing hypnotherapy, what you're doing to the mind is you're actually overloading it and overstimulating it. So if you were going to think about hypnosis, it is, while it is a deep state of relaxation, the way that you get there is by overloading the mind, causing a state of anxiety, not necessarily in the panicky way, but in the way that your mind is thinking about so many things that it becomes overwhelmed. So if you were going to think about hypnosis on a graph of information that we're going into it, it is an exponential curve up where you peak the mind out of thinking about too many things all at once. Then the mind drops into a light state of hypnosis. What will happen from there is that the mind will begin to question, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? You might bounce yourself up a little lighter, and then you begin to go down, going, yes, that's right, I'm doing this right. Oh my goodness, I'm not listening to what she's saying. And then you actually are like, no. Technically speaking, when you're entering into the hypnotic states, you are moving towards a sleep state. So that's correct, and you begin to go deeper. So just as when you wake up in the morning and when you hit the snooze button, you begin to go actually deeper into sleep after you pressed it, the same thing happens in the hypnotic state. Now, to go back to the original question of the pendulum, what the pendulum is doing is it becomes a focal point for the eyes to look at. As it begins to go back and forth, it becomes increasingly hard for your eyes to keep up with it, overstimulating the mind to keep up with looking back and forth. What color is it? What's happening? Do you hear any sounds? As the hypnotist is also talking to you about a variety of other things, thereby overloading the eyes, overloading the ears, the thoughts. You might tap into other modalities like the breathing, other sensations of the mind. Therefore, the eyes begin to overstimulate. What happens when you start to enter in towards the hypnotic state is the eyes can glaze over. It's when you know you're hitting a state of overwhelm. They might begin to blink. You might sort of watch the client go like this. And the harder that they begin to focus, the harder it becomes for the eyes as they begin to overstimulate. And so really, it's not necessarily about the watch or the clock. It's about what it's doing to the mind. You can utilize similar techniques as staring at a spot on the wall, focusing on that while you focus on your breathing. There's lots of different ways to overstimulate the mind. Such as me talking very quickly to you and you're going to miss each and every word. The mind begins to get flustered, and you thereby begin to enter into that overwhelmed state as well. I like to use my personal technique as the breathe, listen, change technique, where I want you to begin to focus on your breathing, heightening all these different sensations of the body in a relaxing way, not necessarily an overstimulating, anxious way. And that's sort of how I get my clients into the hypnotic state. But I hope you learned a little bit more about why the pendulum is used and what it's used for. My name is Alexandra Janelli with Theta Spring Hypnosis out of New York City. Have a beautiful day.